So that was confusing. She went and changed the date. Did she send her back to 1999 so she could give herself the book? Or no? Oh, and then she maybe waited around for 11 years. Can I... Time thing doesn't do anything. Can I interact with this? Is this me, or is that that looks like Paul? Kind of. I can't tell who. Yeah, that's maybe Paul. So we're back here in 2010. Beth, having gone back to 1999, will have, after writing the book and handing it to herself. That's what it is. She didn't take the book with her. She wrote it from scratch. She just went to a store and bought a notebook. She's memorized it, of course, so she wrote it exactly as it existed. Gave it to herself. Waited around for 11 years, painted graffiti all over the place, I suppose. And now is going to show up here in order to get the countermeasure, and she will die. And she knew that somehow.
Your first journey back in time, 2010.
I think I've got a handle on it.
You know how it ended.
Your goal when you arrived was to retrieve the countermeasure.
But my goal had to wait. Because I wasn't alone.
What's going on here? Since when did Will run a graffiti workshop? None of this crap was here in 2016.
Right, she can't not have memorized it, I suppose. You don't not dislike, not remember. So this is why he knew her, because she went back to 1999 and hung out. Secured my safe. I know better than to ask the reasoning behind this request. In 11 years, you've never been wrong, but I don't want to know about the future anyway. That will make this easier. Can we meet tomorrow? Now that the device is complete, I need to know what the next steps are. Please be careful with the countermeasure. It's tremendously powerful, and sourcing the chronoparticles for it has taken over a decade. Rebuilding it would take me years and years. I was supposed to read this in opposite order. I forgot that about the emails. Working countermeasure for a fracture in time. I can't prove it, since there's no fracture to deploy it against, but it will work. Oh, but in 2010, he hadn't heard from her in almost 2 years. I'm now going to ask you, and then she responded immediately by saying, leave the workshop, leave the countermeasure behind, do not return until tomorrow morning. As with all of my orders, it is best that I don't go into further detail. And he says, well, okay. Look at this. It's a stencil for the graffiti that she did on the wall. The first graffiti that we found when we walked out after she had the face-off at the beginning of Act 2.
Someone's in here. Beth? It's me. Hey. What happened to you?
This is it. There's no turning back. Jack? Dr. Emerald sent me to the future. I fought for months trying to find a way to get back.
Oh, to the future?
I
What?
wasn't the only one. Stop! I followed him back. He set William's machine to 1999. The first possible exit point.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
It's okay. Hey, it's okay. Ah, it's okay. I'm on your side.
Who are you?
I'm Beth Wilder. There's some things you need.
You're the reason he built the countermeasure. And you've been here ever since. 11 years. Why? Why didn't you come back?
We should get ready. We don't have much time.
What does that even mean? That she sent her to the future and that she then spent months trying to
She
get
had changed.
back?
And there was a weight in her eyes. She was hiding something.
She always was. What exactly do you believe changed in Beth?
She lost hope.
Oh my gosh, this is even longer. This is going to be the rest of the stream, me reading this. And hi, Professor Portal. welcome to the Crazy Time Show. Gosh. All right, here we go. Beth Journal, February 28th, 1999. Back in time. Here I am. Back in a time I've already lived once before. No idea how long I'll need to stay here. No idea what comes next. This isn't how it was supposed to go. This wasn't the plan. If I'm going to come to terms with that, then I'm going to need to write it all down. There's nobody to tell this to but myself, so hello me, again. This all started back in 2016. It's a funny thing to write in 1999. Jack and I kidnapped Dr. Amaral. We were supposed to use the time machine to travel back to 2010 to retrieve the countermeasure. I believe Dr. Amaral switched the date at the last moment. I heard Jack calling out, but it was too late. I was already inside. There was nothing to do but keep moving forward, and when I exited the corridor, I arrived in the one place I never thought possible. The end of time. Oh, it's a good thing she was wearing the harness then. Okay. Because I was kind of like, does the time machine work while you're wearing the Chronon harness? Shouldn't it not? But I guess, science. My greatest fear was realized. I'm still trying to grasp what that means. My entire life has been devoted to stopping the fracture. What I saw, was it proof that it couldn't be stopped? I can't believe that. There's a logic to all of this, a meaning. I just haven't found it yet. I'm not ready to write down details of the end of time. Not yet. The essential part of the story is that I found a way back. I spent a long time trying to fix William's machine. William's machine. Okay. But somebody beat me to it. He set a course to the earliest time the machine could operate, the first time the core was activated, February 28th, 1999. I followed him through, which is interesting because that means even if she found it months after he, subjective months after he left, he was, she would still show up at the same time as him. That's when I found William, still alive, much younger than I had ever seen him. Why would he be younger? Which Will? See, now I'm trying to remember what happened at the beginning of Act 1. The beginning of Act 1, he went forward in time, right? That was the first test. And then he went, now I'm going to go backwards in time. And as soon as he said that, his own self stepped out. And they had a little conversation. And then he walked into the machine. It was like, okay. And then what happened? There was an attack, right? Something happened. Something blew up. And he went into the machine to get away. He was like, there's nowhere else to run or something. Or I forget what happened. Was he forced to go in? I don't remember. That put him in the future, in the end of time. And it was at that point that but he wasn't wearing a Chronon harness. There was no such thing as a Chronon harness yet, right? I'll have to go back. Well, that's what'll happen. When we play through the game again, we'll watch and things will make more sense. So I'll assume that, things worked. Some things happened a little bit. I don't know. I found William, still alive, much younger than I had seen him. I warned him about the fracture. I told him that he was the only one who could create a solution. No, wait. For no reason, I got William and Paul mixed up. Hold on. So she didn't find Paul. She found William. William's time machine. Paul went through it. She went through it. She found William. Okay. God, sorry. I got super mixed up there. But I think I was still correct. I told him he was the only one who could create a solution. He begged me not to tell him anything else about the future. He said he couldn't stand living like that, being constantly aware of what will come to pass, his every action just part of the preordained dance. I wanted to tell him more, but I know how he felt. William agreed to do what must be done. He agreed to build the countermeasure. This whole time it was me who set him on that path. He says the machine doesn't have sufficient chronon capacity to return me to the future. He says a jump that far would be nearly impossible without substantial scientific breakthrough. Apparently that hasn't happened yet. That's his way of saying I'm trapped in 1999, second time around. So, here I am. That was February. July 19th, time machine move success. I worked with Will to get the time machine moved. Had to make sure Serene wouldn't be able to use it to his advantage, so we moved it to the one place I knew it would be safe. Of course, right. She knew it would be safe there because she's seen it safe in the future. Bradbury Swimming Pool. Big chunk of the research growing the property is the one place I know for sure that Monarch won't find us. After all, they still weren't aware of it in 2016. That means this is my new home for the time being. Will refuses to build the countermeasure here. He says it has to be done at his workshop. He chose that location to build the time machine for a reason. Something about abnormal chronon density anomalies, whatever. Didn't seem to concern that the very people we need to hide from know about his workshop. Probably doesn't help that he won't let me tell him who those guys are. Guy's almost as stubborn as his brother. Now that the move is complete and Will is on his way, all I can do is wait. Not liking the idea of that. Keeping busy was the only thing that distracted me from the eerie nature of being trapped here. Guess I should look at the bright side. Second chance at having a killer Y2K party? September 5th, 1999, little me. The most surreal experience. Her eyes looked so full of life, looking at the clouds, invulnerable to the world around her. She looked full of life. She looked happy. It was me. I knew the day was coming. I knew that I had to go see her and set her on the mission so that she would do what needed to be done, so that someday she would become, well, me. She was in the backyard, bright red duffel coat, playing. Simple pleasures. It's strange. I remember the small details so differently the first time around. When I was a child, the woman who came to see me seemed like an angel, a limitless source of wisdom gifting me with purpose. Now I was that woman. Trembling, a lump in my stomach, nervous as hell. It didn't matter. I knew she was too young to see those things on my face. I gave her the notebook. I told a small child to give up those simple pleasures to pursue a life that would bring nothing but pain and hardship. I promised her that it would all be worth it, that she would make a difference, that she would save the world. She believed me. Epic Y2K party. Ate bagels with cream cheese and watched Buffy reruns in a drained swimming pool. Party on. September 11th, 9/11. I tried to stop it a second time. I warned them, told them exactly what was going to happen. Nothing changed. I came to terms with the fact that none of this could be changed as a child, but since then I've seen things that make me desperate to prove myself wrong, desperate to believe that what I've seen cannot come to pass. I tried to stop the rise of Monarch. I tried to stop Paul Serene, both versions of him. Every action was negated by the force of a timeline that cannot be bent or broken. I've tried to stop tragedy as well. Jack's parents, Christmas of 1999. I knew what happened to them. This time I was there. Car crashed exactly as it was supposed to. My presence only led it to happen as it always did. I went to the funeral. I watched Jack cry. I watched Will build up a wall around himself. I watched two brothers change forever in that moment, and I could do nothing about it. And now this. Fuck. May 22nd, 2002. They spotted me near William's workshop. Barely got out of there alive. All this time, Serene is obsessed with finding me. He won't give up till he does. Have to be more careful in the future. In the future. Haha. So that was when I had assumed that he saw her back in 1999. Maybe it wasn't until 2002 that he saw her and was like, "Oh, okay. There's another time traveler who I have to watch out for." The end of time. Been having recurring nightmares about what I saw. I've been dreading doing this, but it's time. I have to write it out. It's the only way to move past it. In 2016, I entered the time machine intending to travel back to 2010. That didn't happen. Dr. Amaral changed the date. When I exited the machine, I arrived at the end of time. The fracture had run its course. Time had stopped altogether. The entire world was frozen in one hanging moment. I was the only one still able to function, or so I thought. Then the shifters came. I can still hear them. Their sounds echo through my dreams. The entire world was still, except me. They really don't like movement. I'd stepped out of the machine into the one thing I'd spent my entire life trying to prevent. The fracture was never fixed. I was living through the proof. The first hours were the hardest. I was living through a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from, surrounded by constant reminders that my mission would fail. Never able to stay in one place because the shifters were always searching, always hunting. I wasn't alone. I discovered the first evidence of this a few days in. I heard the shifters become agitated, but I was nowhere near them. They were following someone else. Paul Serene, a younger Paul. Scared, weak, vulnerable. He found me. Oh, he doesn't need a Chronon harness because he traveled into the future as the fracture was happening. That's what gave him the time powers. And he's been immune to stutters the whole time, so he's also naturally immune to the end of time. Sure. His body produces chronon particles. Yeah, I need to think back to chronology 301, my junior year. I am a time scientist was my major. It's on my diploma. I'm forgetting the very basics. He found me, tried to convince me that we needed to work together to help each other through. He found out very quickly that I wanted him dead. He had no training, no killer instinct, but he had those damn powers, and all I had was the Chronon harness. The end of the world, the only two people left, and we became sworn enemies. So wait, was there no lifeboat? Isn't that proof that the lifeboat initiative fails? Or I suppose if neither one of them knew where to find the lifeboat, then they don't know. It's like a Schrodinger's. They don't know if it succeeded or failed because they never saw evidence of it succeeding or failing. Is that how it works? They didn't collapse the timeline into that single possibility? The end of the world, we were only two people left, and we became sworn enemies. I can't be sure how long we spent there. It could have been months, could have been years. When time doesn't move, it feels like an eternity. Our grip on reality slipped away, trapped in an endless loop of brutal survival. Though we were enemies, there was a strange bond formulated through that suffering. We've shared an experience that no other human has ever endured. Eventually, Paul managed to get William's time machine working. He was convinced that he needed to travel back to the earliest possible point in order to stop all this from happening. He had yet to learn that the past couldn't be changed. I followed him through the machine, but he escaped. He formed Monarch. He built an empire. So he knows Beth from the end of time, not from spotting her in 2002. He spent months or years 1v1ing her. I watched the birth of a monster. I can't escape the feeling that my actions helped shape what he became. Maybe I could have guided him. Maybe if I hadn't tried to hunt him down and kill him at the end of time. That can't be my part in all of this. There has to be more. I wake up in a cold sweat most nights. I hear the shifters coming. I can almost feel their presence. Too much of my experience at the end of time has become a blur in my memory, but there is one detail that I can't shake. One detail that brings my entire mission into question. One detail that haunts me. 2021. February 3rd, 2005. Hobbies. 5 years until the countermeasure will be complete. I spend most of my days training. I don't know what happens once the device is finished, but being prepared is my specialty. I wonder if Jack will follow a plan, if he'll emerge from that machine in 2010. Best not to think about it. I'm not giving up, but I can't let these thoughts consume me. I need to focus on the present, focus on what is right in front of me. That's the mantra that keeps me going. Just focus on the present. So I decided to take on some hobbies. Tried poetry, got depressed. Dabbled with the guitar a while, smashed it against the wall. Then I started experimenting with graffiti. Seems to be working out okay for me so far. It's fulfilling on a few different levels, partly as a form of self-expression, partly as a means of release, partly just to fuck with people. What happens when Joe analyzes some graffiti on a wall one day, builds an interpretation in his head, and then 3 years later his depiction of that image comes true? Not sure, but it's fun to think about. I can't change anything, but at least this gives me the illusion of some kind of power. That illusion is what keeps me holding on. So because she knows already where Jack is going to go, she's been going along that route in 2005 and around that time, painting graffiti of the things that he will have just done when he gets there. Sometimes I leave anonymous notes in people's mailboxes telling them what will happen next week. I watch their reactions from afar. Voyeurism and graffiti, that's my life these days. Focus on the present. October 8th, 2007. Jack. I started watching him recently. I know Monarch is tracking him, so I keep my distance. I wasn't sure why I felt a need to follow him, to watch his life from the outside, but now I think I understand. I met Jack in the wake of his brother's death, the onset of the fracture. Worst day of both of our lives. He was broken. That's the only Jack I ever knew. There's some kind of comfort in seeing him in happier times. I watched his band play a gig nearby. Atrociously bad. Whiny emo music. Definitely a music movement I didn't need to live through a second time, but there was something pure about seeing him up there, letting it out. He never had an easy life. It was nice that he found a way to release all that. He just looked happy. It made me forget everything else. The nightmares stopped for a while after that, so I kept following him. It gave me something else to focus on. I spent most of my life hiding who I am, what I know. I knew Jack for less than 24 hours, but he's the only person I've opened up to about everything. I told him the truth. He believed me. I wish I could thank him for that. I'm not sure what I'm going to tell him if he comes through that machine on July 4th, 2010. What will he think when he sees me? 11 years will have passed. I look like I've aged 3 lifetimes since then, and for him it could only be a matter of minutes. What do I say? That I saw the end? That this might all be for nothing? I was the one who believed without question that we would stop the fracture. That confidence has now been replaced with insecurity, weakness. I fear letting him see that. I fear that he'll see the doubt in my eyes. For years I felt invincible, full of hope. I'm not that woman anymore. I'm scared. December 11th, 2007. Memory. Tonight I painted something at the university campus. It was only after I finished and took a step back to look at it that I realized I've seen it before, about a decade ago. Remains of something painted on a wall but washed away. It was a jolt. Is all of this futile? Nothing sticks. Nothing has changed. All of it washed away by the river of time. Fucking time travel. Did we see... I probably did examine a piece of graffiti. I didn't, look at everything along the way on the very, very first thing that you do in the game. I think I did look at the graffiti. Will. I've been in contact with Will every 6 months or so. Short exchanges just to get an update on his progress building the countermeasure. He's still at least 2 years away from completion, but he's now confident he's now confident that he knows how the countermeasure will work. He told me that the countermeasure will be able to reverse a fracture in time, but in order to do so, it must be activated early in the escalation of the fracture. Once the fracture runs its course, once the end of time is reached, he believes the countermeasure will be rendered ineffective. I asked him what it would mean if the end of time ever occurred. He said it would mean that the fracture was never stopped. It would mean that we failed. July 21st, 2008. Everything I've done has been for nothing. July 4th, 2010. Final entry. The day is here. Soon I will receive word from William that he has completed the countermeasure. I'm sure of it. I've come to accept that this doesn't mean we will succeed. I've come to accept that my mission was a lie, but I'm not giving up. Lie or not, I devoted my life to this cause. It gave me meaning. It's all I've ever known. Even if I've seen the proof that I won't succeed, I'm not giving up. I will dedicate every ounce of courage I have to seeing this through. I'll retrieve the countermeasure. I'll keep it safe until 2016. I will do everything in my power to activate it when the time comes. I will fail. But I will fail knowing that I did everything in my power to save the world. For years, I hoped that this would be the day when I would see Jack again. I've given up that hope. This mission started with me alone. That's how it will end. This will be my final entry. Interesting stuff indeed. So, it's weird. We haven't seen anything from Paul or from Beth that indicates that they should think that time is completely incapable of change. Like, she was like, okay, I couldn't stop his parents from dying. I couldn't stop September 11th. A bunch of things. I guess Paul probably did the same things. Like, So, all right. So neither one of them thinks that there is a way to stop the fracture. Paul is working on the lifeboat, which he says he thinks can work because he never saw evidence that it didn't work. So there's still a possibility that there are people, while he was in the end of time, that there were people in the lifeboat working on a fix. Beth was, up until the point when she traveled to the end of time, she was under the impression, because of the journal that she gave to herself, which she couldn't avoid giving to herself because she had to, because it was fate. She was under the impression that the person who gave her that journal was somebody who knew for sure that the fracture could be prevented, even though it couldn't. So now her only hope is, she's like, I just hope that I steal the countermeasure here, because that's what the evidence suggests, and keep it safe for 6 years, and then she thinks that she needs to just deploy it and fail, right? But we know that it is what powers the lifeboat.
11 years.
Is there something else that I could find in here? Okay. Alright. Time to progress. Although it's almost time to end the stream.
I'll unlock the door.
So where's Will? Where's the countermeasure?
The countermeasure's at William's workshop, where he built it.
Then that's where we go.
Yes. That was the plan. have to unlock this. My supplies are upstairs. We'll need to get them. There's so much you don't know that you never saw. I gave up on the idea that you would ever come.
I need to know we're still in this together.
I told you once our fate is already laid out for us.
They keep having the time vision flash, and
More than ever.
I thought it did that if there was a reason to activate it.
Worried what that might mean.
It means we finish this.
You need gear? Take whatever you need. The rest of it's going in the river, along with everything else I brought here.
That's a little drastic.
My time here is done, Jack. I have to erase my presence. Let me know when you're ready to go.
Oh, no. What's the other... Advanced SMG. Oh, okay. Oops.
I'm ready when you are, Jack.
Oop, there's another thing.
Okay. The countermeasures at Will's workshop. We find it, then what?
I know
Bring it
there.
back here.
There are so many lights that are not skill points.
Use it to stop the fracture. That was always the plan.
That is still the plan.
Yes.
You followed Paul to 1999. Why did he travel so far back?
To form Monarch. Prepare for what's coming.
You kept tabs on him.
And he's kept tabs on me.
We still don't know who Martin Hatch is. I'll go back and look again, though. Well, no, never mind. Actually, I'm not even spending the points. What do I have now? I have 2. Is there anything that... Any level 1 powers that I didn't pick up yet? No. Cost 4. Cost 4. Cost 6. Alright. This is probably the final fight, right?
I can't imagine what happened to you. When you entered that machine, I wanted to go after you, but I didn't know where Sophia sent you or how to find you.
You made it here. It's all that matters. You followed the plan.
Whatever happened to you, change it.
Don't.
We can fix this.
Don't.
We can undo this.
You still don't get it. It can't be changed. No matter what we do, the pieces fall in all of the exact same places. I've tried. Over and over.
I can't just sit back and do nothing.
You have to let go. Jack. You have to let go. I've seen it. The end of time. That is where she sent me. I was there. I've been fighting this fight my entire life, and I saw us fail. I saw where this leads. I just don't know anymore. I don't know if we can win this thing.
Then we'll die finding out.
I know they just said a thing there about the fact that you can destroy stuff that's on the back of someone who's wearing a Chronon harness. And I saw that there was an achievement for doing it a certain number of times. I don't know that I've actually... I think all of them I've always just killed with damage. Actually, yeah, you're right. She did look like a Life is Strange
I don't know a fraction
character.
of the hell that Beth went through. What she experienced when she saw the end of time, how that changed her, like it changed Paul. Followed by 11 years of living like a ghost. Beth I'd known had laser focus. This Beth, she had doubts.
You okay?
But the countermeasure, the one thing that could set things right, was waiting for us at Will's workshop.
There it is.
In 2010, Monarch didn't own the area yet. That came shortly after because of what happened with you. But we knew William was building something new in his workshop, and we knew it must be important. We were monitoring the place.
Yeah, Beth knew about your presence. She'd done spying on her own. We came over the rooftops to avoid detection.
Does Will know we're coming?
No, he doesn't.
Whoops. Sorry.
Fight goddamn power outages this week. That's the last straw. I've had it.
This way, Jack.
I quit.
Okay, so we just caused Paul Palmer to quit his job.
Let's go.
But I want to see what happens to Paul the Punch Palmer. He just hit that... He moved that traffic cone. The future is changed now. There's no button.
From this point on, we may be in their sights. We need to be quick.
Hey, Will?
He's not here. I made sure of that.
What? Why? He's the only one that knows how to use the countermeasure.
Which is why he needs to be kept safe. In case... things go bad.
Fine. We get the device, then you lead me to my brother.
Sure.
Now, where do we find this thing?
Will said he secured it inside a safe. Somewhere in the building.
All right, Will. Where'd you hide that safe? This must be where he built it. $11 years. Building this thing was his life for 11 years.
Quantum geometry match. Alpha particles output sufficient. Combine with the Tesseract? Also run through Tritium Tunnel. Don't forget.
It's April 2nd, 1999. It's been about a month since the incident. Since I was shot by the man from the future. Since Wilder. I've moved the machine. Hidden it. I wish I could destroy it, but I made it tell me as little as possible. The more you know about what'll happen, the worse it'll be. We're all puppets. I can think that for as long as I can't tell the difference. I think she understood. Doesn't matter anyway. She told me the fracture is gonna happen because of what I did. It's... I have to fix it. I have to. I don't know how yet. I have to build a countermeasure of some kind. I know the theoretical mechanism of the field's collapse, but how to stop it, let alone reverse it. It'll take years of research. I have no idea how to do this. How to pay for it. I don't know. Wilder's from the future. And she came to me. I have to assume that I was successful, right? Why else would she come to me?
He was planning on giving it to you.
And it was stolen before he ever had the chance. Which means this is the only way it can play out.
Told him it was his fault. The car crash was Jack's fault? Really?
Hey, River Boy. I'm pretty sure you folks are having a better time than I am. Old Bobby's still stuck in the studio just a little while longer. Whereas all of you folks are out there enjoying what I hope are spectacular 4th of July parties. So set up some fireworks, eat a little too much, drink until every joke you hear is funny, and spend some time with your loved ones. Appreciate the good things in your life, you know? This country ain't perfect, but it's still pretty damn good, and it's sure as hell worth celebrating. I'm about done here myself. I can't wait to get home, crack open a beer or 3, and kick back with the people I love most. We're gonna appreciate that this year's better than last year, and we've all got good things to look forward to. And isn't that what today's really all about? Being safe and free, not having to be afraid, knowing that we've made a future for ourselves, and that it's all gonna be all right. Yeah. This is Bobby Red.
Hitting us with that on point, you know, the theme. The idea that, you know, because of time travel, because of traveling to the past and not being able to change the future, means you're not free. But this is very symbolic that this is all going on Independence Day. You know.
You're the only one who can stop it.
There's no theoretical groundwork. It could take even years to build.
And it will. You'll have to keep it a secret. Even from the ones you love. It's the only way to keep them safe. You witnessed one, didn't you? An echo.
Yeah. It was you.
A long time ago now.
You'd been there before. Witnessed flashes through time. I assume pieces of that puzzle had come together since.
And some are yet to come.
Oh, that's right. When we passed through Ground Zero, and this is what it was. Because of what happened in 2010, right? Maybe?
Let's see here. The power setup wasn't working. But it must have worked at some point.
Maybe I can rewind time to get this working.
Sure.
The device wasn't there. But it must have been at one time.
Didn't even know the door was locked.
It was all there on the board. The details of his downward spiral. His work consumed him. Became some kind of desperate obsession.
By whiteboard
He was
eraser.
never the same.
Alright, let's get a move on. I dilly-dallied for too long.
Come take a look at this. He didn't leave the code. But I can correct it.
It's Jack's birthday.
I just need some time to...
Somebody's here.
It's Monarch. I knew it. I knew they'd find us.
I'll take care of it. Just get that safe open, stay inside.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd been spotted the moment you arrived. You never had a chance. You were on a suicide mission.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna lie down and just give up without a fight. Not then, not ever.
This is Trojan 1 approaching workshop perimeter. Over.
Remember, orders are to take her alive. Monarch Actual's en route.
Roger.
Stop right there. Where's the girl?
The tricky part is, since we're in the
Hey, hold
past...
on. Take it easy. Seems to be the problem, guys.
On your knees, now! Trojan 4, we're going inside.
I can't let you inside that building.
I said on your fucking knees. That's an order. He's got a gun! Open fire!
That wasn't a gun! That was my fist!
Give up.
Oops.
See that?
This is just like Terminator. I have to be very careful not to kill anyone in the past. Otherwise, it'll change the future.
Get around him! Who the hell?
See, like that guy? He's gonna be just fine.
Engage target!
I saw on Marstead's stream, he was like, I have this heavy pistol, and now that's the only weapon I'm going to need for the entire game. And I think he was right.
HQ, we've got a situation.
What's the sit rep?
He's got backup. I don't know what it is.
Orders are to keep the mission quiet, tidy. We can't afford unwanted attention.
He's fucking tearing us apart.
I'm on my way. Hold perimeter.
Wait, where am I being shot from now? There's someone way over there.
Target in sight.
Didn't work. No, 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 no. Oh, you're right there.
Suppressing fire!
Damn it. Come on. Let's get back up here.
Get out of my way.
Here we are again. Exactly where we left off years ago.
Paul.
Hand it over.
I said, get out of my way.
I gotta get back in.
This locked now? Nope.
Give me the device. Come with me. We can survive this together. You know it can't be stopped. I can see it in your eyes. You know this.
What if you're wrong?
We failed. We created Ground Zero. Caused everything to happen how it always did. Every piece falling into place.
Except one. The blast sent you through time. Brought you back to 2016. The same exact time from which you left. Something anchored you there. We need to know how you did this.
You think I wanted to come back? I was pulled away. Everything I came for was still back there. Left behind.
No, Beth. Beth. Come on, move. Beth, get up. Beth, come on, get up.
He's just seeing an echo of what happened 6 years ago. It's nothing he can change.
Yeah, that's it. Get the gun. Come on, Beth, move. Come on, please. Beth, move. Paul, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't!
I'm not wrong.
You can't.
No! No!
Serene had the countermeasure the whole time. I had to get it back.
A rash decision. You claim Beth Wilder's death had no impact on your behavior, but...
Like I said, I barely knew her.
So, what you did next? It wasn't personal?
No.
A Bethling development? Bethling. Like baffling? I'll award partial credit for that. That's okay. Oh, I never noticed you could play with this before. Oh, maybe you can't. That's why I never noticed it. Or can you? Okay, my imagination. I'm not actually the one interacting with it. It's doing it on its own. All right, so this is another junction, so there's going to be another act.
I don't have much time left. I know. I spent 17 years working it out, planning it, building Monarch, because I knew what was coming, and I knew it couldn't be stopped. But what I've built has been turned against me. What is the point in saving them if I can't trust them? I'm slipping away into pain and rage. The sickness is accelerating. The CFR. It has cost me so much. But I have harnessed its power. And with it, my plan will work. With it, I will keep the lights on when the world goes dark.
Mr. Serene? Sorry to disturb you, sir, but I have that cleanup report on Dr. Kim's lab you wanted.
Oh, of course there's another act, because we haven't fought shifters yet.
I'll be able to seal the CFR chamber. The lab explosion. My treatments, all gone. First things first. Seal the chamber.
All right, so we'll stop here. We'll pick up next time. I have a complicated week ahead of me.